Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will start. Volkmar, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Eskom Megawatt Park. I would just like to brief you quickly about our evacuation procedure that applies in the case of an emergency. What would happen is we have an alarm sounded that is followed by a short description of the emergency, and then our staff members that identify themselves in the yellow bib as the evacuation warden, they would assist you then in that evacuation process. There are 2 escape doors here at the front. There are also 2 escape doors at the back. And the quickest way out of the building is just walking then downstairs, passing by the security point, where we lead you then out onto the open grass field to the closest assembly point, where we do then the roll call against the signed attendance register. Only once our safety or security managers declare the building is safe to return, you would be allowed to come back to continue the event, or you dispersed into your home destination. But have a safe meeting and enjoy it.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are all welcome. Always a pleasure to have you here with us. May I at this point call our chairman, Dr. Ngubane, to welcome and open up this event.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chose. Well, to begin with, I would like to acknowledge the presence of 2 board members at this briefing. Ms. Venetta Klein, our chairperson of the People and Governance Committee. Can you stand up, please? And Mr. Zatembe Koza, our chairperson of the Board Tender Committee. Can you stand up, please? Of course, other board members couldn't be here, but I'm particularly singling them out, these 2, because the stabilization and the way forward that we have achieved as a board would not have happened without their critical input. So thank you very much. Why don't you give them a round of applause? Thank you. Chief Executive, Brian Molefe, members of the Eskom Executive Committee, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Eskom has turned the corner. The hard work towards a stable and sustainable Eskom is beginning to show results. I'm encouraged and pleased. The concerted effort of the board, management, and staff has resulted in a dramatic improvement in the reliability of electricity over the last 99 days, with only 2 hours and 20 minutes of load shedding. This allows us to talk with confidence about the balance between energy supply and demand and the significant impact this has on the economy of our beautiful country. We will share with you today the efforts that led us to this milestone and why we are confident of achieving more. More importantly, ladies and gentlemen, this state of the system is symbolic of the gains we are making to remove the need to load shed for the long term. Allow me to congratulate the newly appointed team of executives who you see here in front. In you, we have placed a great responsibility. I know you are committed to this civic duty to guide this organization towards sustainability in all aspects, and I'm confident this organization is in good hands. Ladies and gentlemen, as I take you through this system status, you will have the opportunity to witness the reasons that give me this confidence. On behalf of the board, I also wish to thank all Eskom employees for their commitment in ensuring that South Africans have continuous supply of electricity. As we enter the holiday season, I'm acutely aware that some employees will miss important family gatherings in the service of South Africans. That, despite this commitment and service, we know that comments will be less than pleasant and show little appreciation for the challenges they've faced and overcome to bring us to this point. Employees should also know that all their efforts are recognized and appreciated. Lastly, We have always maintained that the task of delivering a sustainable ESCOM is a joint responsibility. ESCOM has certain responsibilities, and so do our multiple stakeholders. These milestones that we celebrate are a true testament that South Africans have heeded the message to use electricity wisely. I would like to thank the people of South Africa for heeding our call. Johannesburg has experienced unprecedented hot weather over the past few weeks. The whole of South Africa seems to be experiencing irregular weather patterns. And we, as ESCOM, our hearts go out to those people who have lost livestock, lost their bumper crop, and generally are bearing very, very sharp and harsh experiences because of these irregular weather patterns. Despite this, we have worked together to ensure that we use electricity wisely. Thank you for your contribution to this success. These milestones show us that it is possible, when we continue to work together, and reinforce our belief that a stable and sustainable ESCOM is within reach, help our staff to raise their morale and the investment confidence to return. I have no doubt that the future will continue to be demanding. We continue to remain up for the challenge. Thank you very much.
Okay, ready? We're about to go. May I call our Chief Executive Officer, Brian Molefe?
Good morning, and Chairperson, members of the board. Let me once again introduce the Executive Committee. Mr. Deva Govender, if you can stand up, Deva. Deva is responsible for transmission. Mr. Mongezi Nzokolo, responsible for distribution. Can you stand up? Ayanda Noah, customer service. Machela Koko, generation. Abraham Masango, capital. Elsie Pule, group HR. And Anuj Singh, who is on his way here, is the chief financial officer that you know very well. In this system update, we will talk about winter performance, summer outlook, the recovery and build program, and do a conclusion. We continue to supply 100% of what we are supposed to supply as ESCOM while we are performing maintenance. To date, we've had 99 days with only 2 hours and 20 minutes of load shedding. And the recent introduction of the new maintenance methodology, which we call Tetris, enables us to do the effective management of maintenance with no load shedding. Performance of our generation fleet has stabilized with unplanned outages below the target of 7,000 megawatts. The new build program has delivered 720 megawatts to the grid with the commercial operation of Medupi Unit 6 on the 23rd of August 2015. Our focus is on fast-tracking the capacity build program, and summer projection is that number of generating units in quick succession. This phenomenon can repeat itself anytime, and we say that it is possible to have the Tetris project has resulted in better predictability. For example, Medupi Unit 6 remained on planned outage for 21 days with no load shedding. We also have, even today, Unit 2 of Quebec still on a planned outage until December. It enables us to perform maintenance within our maintenance budget of about 4,500 megawatts of planned maintenance. And during severe heat, the heat wave experienced in early October, we were able to perform maintenance without load shedding. ESCOM has connected an additional 43 independent power producers with a total capacity of 2,147 megawatts, of which 2,021 megawatts is in operational commercial operation. An additional 334 megawatts from the Department of Energy's DIDISA project has also been connected, which is a diesel OCGT, and coal stocks are sustained at a healthy level of 58.2 days on average. This is a capacity outlook from November 2015 to August 2016, and you will see that we will step up maintenance during the month of December, when we have a relatively large gap here. And you will see that this black line does not cross over into the green line, which represents load shedding. So we maintain our availability within the available capacity is healthy and stays within the budgeted reserves, operating reserves. So we do not anticipate problems until August. This is a Tetris project. You will see that quite a number of units are out on maintenance on the 16th of November, which is today, starting with Komati Unit 5, which is out on a GO, general outage, quite a long outage. Hendrina, Matla 4, Letabo 4, Majua Unit 5, and Komati Unit 3. Hendrina Unit 6 will go out around the 25th of November. Kendall Unit 6 will go out around the 22nd of November. Matimba Unit 3 is out. Quebec Unit 2 is out until around the 7th of December. Kahora Basa is also coming out now until about the 25th of November, and this is planned maintenance. And Anot Unit 2 is going out, and Majuba Unit 3. During December, you will see that we will have more units out on planned maintenance because of the low demand. So we'll step up maintenance during December. If I can repeat what we used to say, we will also have a maintenance festival during December, which is not a load shedding festival, but a festival of doing maintenance. This is in January. As the demand comes back, we will somewhat scale down the amount of maintenance, but we will still maintain quite a number of units. Tutuka Unit 2, which is quite a large unit, will be out. Letaba Unit 2 will also go out. Matimba Unit 5, Kendall Unit 4, Anot Unit 4, Duva Unit 4 will also go out for maintenance, and Matla Unit 5. And this will continue right up to April. If we breach this red line, that will indicate load shedding, and you can see that, and the difference between The red line and the maintenance that we're doing is a reserve and UCLF, and we remain very far away from load shedding territory. And this phenomenon will continue to August next year. You will see that the amount of maintenance that we will do compared to December or now or December or early in the year will reduce during winter, planned maintenance to accommodate increased demand as the red line comes down. And but we will continue to do significant maintenance. There will be quite a number of units: Kendall Unit 5, Matla 1, Camden Unit 2, Camden Unit 1, all out on GO, general outages, which is major outages. And then we will step up the maintenance again from the beginning of August, and it should increase through to December next year. We will continue with this right through to the following year, and this is how we're going to do maintenance going forward. There has been reports that the reason we do not have load shedding is as a result of reduced demand because of slow economic growth. But the fact of the matter is that 2014, this is the demand profile, and 2014, and 2013, I think the 2014 is the green line, 2014 is the I don't know, it is blue or purple line. And this big brown block or this line here represents 2015. The statement is true somewhat, but we only had reduced demand in the weeks 43 to 45, or maybe even 44 to 46, and we see demand picking up again. But generally, the demand profile has been the same, and in fact, we see it increasing. There was another article during the week, last week, saying that the demand profile has remained relatively similar. Sorry, the demand profile has remained relatively similar over the August to October period over the last 3 years. But the recent stable supply of electricity, the 99 days, has resulted in an increase in manufacturing output, which rose 0.9% year on year compared to a revised minus 0.3% for August. Factory production also jumped 2.2% and was up 1.4%. And we hope to continue to contribute positively to the South African economy by making electricity available and allowing manufacturing and factory production, as well as mining production, to be able to continue to function and contribute to the growth of the South African economy. We've made progress at Majuba Power Station. Majuba Power Station experienced a coal storage silo collapse on the 1st of November 2014. We have found a short-term solution which has been implemented and has given us the production of electricity that was lost from the 1st of November 2014. So as I speak to you, the Majuba Power Station is operating at full capacity with an interim solution. And it has been able to run at full capacity since February 2015. This temporary solution includes a newly constructed temporary conveyor belt which ferries coal into the power station, and using of trucks to transport coal. So the use of trucks to transport coal has been curtailed from an average of 1,060 trucks before the implementation of the interim solution to an average of about 90 trucks. We will implement the permanent solution. The design for the permanent solution has been completed, which includes the reinstatement of the damaged silo and the associated coal conveyor system, and 2 other coal silos will also be reinforced to avoid a similar situation from repeating itself. Tender inquiry has been issued to the market and closed on the 3rd of November 2015, and the evaluation is in progress and is for the award of the contract, and the award date is expected to be the 1st of December 2015. We expect construction to be complete by the 31st of December 2017. At Duva Power Station, which experienced an overpressurization incident in March 2014, we have been toing and froing with the loss adjuster, and it looks like we are arriving at some agreement with the loss adjuster, which is the insurance people that had wanted us to implement a solution that had not been tested before. And we were in disagreement about the implementation of a solution as part of their settlement. They suggested a solution that we were not comfortable with. And so we are coming to an agreement and are insisting on a more expensive but solution that we are confident is guaranteed to work. We have an indicative settlement offer which has been made by the insurance and the loss adjuster, whereby we will replace the boiler. Technology assessments and cost uncertainty have delayed progress on this project because of the cheaper solution that the loss adjuster had been offering us, or the insurance had been offering us, and we are insisting on what we think we are entitled, which is a more expensive but reliable solution. This is the scheduled dates for the build program. Unit 6 of Medupi has been commercialized on the 23rd of August 2015. Unit 54321 will follow with Unit 5 coming in March 2018. Kusile, we expect Unit 1 to be commercialized in July 2018, and Ingula Unit 3 in January 2017. And this is the same information but revised. Ingula Unit 3, first synchronization October 2016, and Unit 4, first synchronization January 2017. Ingula Unit 2, first synchronization March 2017, and Medupi Unit 5, first synchronization will be in September 2017. We will continue to collaborate with our customers to reduce demand. And we will be asking our customers to use air conditioning efficiently, to switch off all geysers and pool pumps, and if you use the pool frequently, to limit pool filtering cycles to 2 cycles daily and not between 5 and 9 p.m., to switch off all non-essential lighting and respond to power alert messages. In conclusion, we endeavor to perform maintenance with no load shedding during the summer. To date, we have had 99 days with 2 hours and 20 minutes of load shedding. Key industrial customers experienced stage 2 load curtailment only once in the last 99 days, and ESCOM will fast-track the build program to ensure supply in the coming winter. We appreciate the support of all our customers and encourage that we maintain 10% electricity savings, and ESCOM will continue to provide regular updates on the state of the power system through various media platforms. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kulu Pasiwe. We'll take a number of questions, I think in batches of 5. So if you can, once you are comfortable with what questions you want to ask, you can give us your name, your organization, and then we can take it from there. I see Charlotte's hand. If there's anyone else who wants to follow. For now, we'll go with Charlotte and Terence. That will be the first ones.
Good morning, it's Charlotte Matthews from Business Day. I've got 2 questions. The first one is that in the event of a drought, what contingency plans have you got for your generating units, which are quite water intensive, and do you expect any of them are going to be more vulnerable than any of the others? And the second question is, could you tell us the outcome of the inquiry into the Majuba coal silo collapse? Who was at fault there, and what action has been taken?
Terence.
Terence Creamer, Engineering News. Just on your generation sustainability strategy of 80-10-10, can you give us a picture of how close you are, or how far away you are from meeting the 80-10-10 strategy? And what, over the winter period, did the EAF look like? And what would it look like this time next year? And then if you could also give us some updates on the your funding gap and your approach that you're taking to closing it. We saw the clawback application to NERSA last week. And if you could just put us a picture, other than that clawback application, what else are you doing? And why it was for only 1 year of the MYPD3 and not for the 2 that have already been audited, I imagine. And also if you could give us a breakdown of the 22 billion rand that you're looking to claw back, how much, what were the different components of that? And finally, if you can just give us some insight into how your OCGT usage has been since you've implemented maintenance without load shedding strategy. Thank you.
Well, for now, that will do. Chief Executive, you can maybe use the mics from your table to answer the questions. Oh, okay.
In terms of the water situation, our dam levels, Eskom dams, is at 58%, which is quite healthy. But maybe Mr. Machela Koko can talk about what contingency plans we have.
Thank you, Chief. You will. It's common cause that we receive water at 95% confidence level. So the 58% that the Chief Executive has referred to is where we expect it to be today or this season. The projections into the future will continue to be at 75% confidence level. The dam levels are, however, low naturally because of the drought situation. But we will continue to receive water at 95% security level, and there is no risk that we will get below that in the next 12 months.
And maybe you can talk about proximity to 80-10-10.
You know, this is a good story for us. You will recall that when the cabinet formed the war room, we had close to 35% of the capacity that was not available out of the grid. In fact, we had the load losses at 8,000 megawatts. Today, we're sitting at load losses of 5,800 megawatts. We're sitting at a plant unavailability of, including planned maintenance, of around 25% from the 35% that it was when the war room started. You know, I will opportunistically use this opportunity to also deal with the issues that of the fact that the economy is growing. The fact is that we have more capacity today than we ever had in the last 12 months. We're sending more megawatts. We're sitting today, as we speak, at 32,900 megawatts. In the next hour, we'll hit the 33-hour mark, and that will be the highest we've ever had in the last 18 months.
33,000 megawatt mark. And then OCGT usage as well, Mr. Koko.
We have a strategy in generation that we run now that says we want to maintain our capacity at all times above 32,500 megawatts. We don't want to load shed. And we will keep our load factors for the week at around 5% and below. Load factors of 5% and below compared to around 12% when we were in the middle of load shedding. That's the simplest way to say we're making progress.
Deva, can you talk about the Majuba coal silo? Mr. Koko.
Yes, we concluded the investigation in Majuba, and we have always said that the conclusion of the Majuba silo was a design that was not correct. Well, at the time it was correct, but the codes changed, so there was no negligence on the part of engineers that implemented that. And there was no negligence on the construction companies that were employed to construct Medupi, because they have constructed the silo as per the design. So we have here a code that was applied at the time that did not match the conditions of the silo when it was constructed. And that's the root cause. So there is no negligence on the designer. There's no negligence on the construction partner. We have a code that did not match the conditions, and that's not uncommon because codes do change all the time.
But Deva, everybody's supposed to know in EXCO what's happening in the whole business. That's why I'm going to ask Elsie to talk about the funding gap. No, not today. Manoj, can you talk about the funding gap?
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I'll attempt to answer on behalf of Elsie. The funding gap, I think, for the current year, I think our liquidity position has improved quite significantly. For the current year, we are quite comfortable that we'll be able to fund the full funding requirement for the year. That is on the basis that we have the equity injection that is promised by government of 23 billion. We've got a MEGA facility that's been approved, an AFDB facility that's been approved. There is potentially an issuance of a global bond later in the financial year. But again, depending on market conditions, we may want to also look at a syndicated loan facility. That will be a plan B to the global bond if market conditions are not acceptable. Taking into account all of these funding facilities, we should end the year with a cash balance in the region of about 10 to 15 billion, having taken into account all of the risks that the organization is facing at the moment. If we look at the new financial year, I think given the fact that we will end the year with about a 15 billion cash balance, the 47 billion funding requirement for next year basically reduces to around 13. We have the RCA, if successfully concluded, that will contribute quite significantly to the balance of the funding requirement. We also have the Duva claim that we've spoken about that could also be liquidated. There's a private placement of about 10 billion that we've already concluded for next year as well. So from that perspective, I think the organization is very well positioned from a liquidity perspective for this for the rest of this financial year as well as the next financial year.
And other than the clawback, what other initiatives are we taking to raise capital?
On the well, those are the ones that I've mentioned. I mean, the Duva claim, the EFC loan book, the private placement that we've done already, the MEGA, the syndicated loan, AFD discussions continue. So those are the ones that we're currently pursuing.
And I think we can mention that we did a non-deal roadshow in London about a week ago, and it sounds like the market would be receptive to an international bond issue because of the progress that we have made in the last 6 months. Yes, and then on the Majuba coal silo, the question was, so who's to blame? The investigation found that it was a design flaw in the way that the silo had been designed in the first place. The standards that we had been observing when the silo was initially built were American standards, which were much lower than what is required today. And so if that silo had been built today, it would have been built to different standards and would have been able to withstand what has happened. So it was, I think, a design standard many years ago, a design flaw many years ago. Thank you.
We'll swiftly go into the next round. I see Jan's hand. If I have any more takers, So it looks like, and then Frank immediately after you. Oh, and I also see the third hand at the back. So we'll start with Jan.
Jan Lange, Media 24. The Duva replacement of the boiler. Can you tell us what, the last time we spoke about this, there was an off-the-cuff remark that it would be about 4 billion. Can you give us a closer figure of what it's going to cost? And secondly, last time we spoke, you acknowledged there was probably some disciplinary action going to take place. So I assume there were negligence. What portion of that cost is going to be covered by the insurer? I take it if there were negligence, you will not all be covered by the insurer.
And then Frank.
Okay, thank you. Frank Malo, SAPC News. My question is focused on the import from Cahora Bassa. I don't know what the drought situation in Mozambique is. Is there any risk that, there could be, is there a possibility that there could be a risk if there's drought in Mozambique, that portion that is imported from Mozambique in Cahora Bassa?
All right, and we'll also have Angelo here.
Angelo Coppola from CCTV. I guess it's following up on Frank's. I'd just like an update on the change from the open cycle to gas and what's happening there. It's been close to, nearly a year now since we've heard about this movement to gas.
Thank you. That will do for this round.
Sorry, there was a question that we didn't answer in the last round, and that is the different elements of the RCA application. Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Brian. On the question around the components of the RCA, the exact values of the different elements are disclosed in the application itself, but the main elements are really the revenue component, where the volumes at which we obviously projected versus the actual is different. So that is the biggest portion of the claim. Then you have some IPP amounts as well, where the pace at which we have executed IPPs is different to what we anticipated in the MYPD3 application. And then the last portion of the application is the use of diesel. Compared to other sources of generation.
Mr. Machela Koko, on the cost of Duva, and if there is any negligence, and if the insurance will cover the negligence.
We are almost concluded with the insurer on what they need to pay, and when they don't need, then they will not pay. And we've agreed on the figure. And I'll leave the FD to deal with the figure if possible.
I think at this stage we would prefer not to disclose the amount. The negotiations are currently at a very sensitive stage in terms of being able to conclude the exact final amount that the claim will settle at. So at this stage, I think we will be hesitant to disclose it.
And the number that the FD will at the right time disclose takes into account the root causes as well.
Okay. And Deva, can you talk about the impact of drought on Cahora Bassa?
Okay, thank you. At this stage, we get about 1,500 megawatts from HCB, from Cahora Bassa. The drought is not that severe in Mozambique at this stage, so I think we're fine for about 2 years. However, if the drought continues for another 2 years, then it starts impacting on Cahora Bassa and HCB. The bigger impact on the drought is actually countries like Zambia and Zimbabwe, where they get supplied by the Zambezi. For example, a country like Zambia now is load shedding basically sometimes 24 hours a day on an 8-hour rotational basis because they rely predominantly on hydro. And the dams are very empty. So that's where the bigger problem is. But for the time being, 2 years, weather forecasting saying ATB should be all right for the next 2 years. But if the drought continues, we may be impacted later.
And incidentally, Kahora Bassa will be coming off load on Wednesday on planned maintenance. If it's possible, we'll take it off on Tuesday night after evening peak, but it is due to, so we will start on Tuesday night after evening peak, but it is due for for planned maintenance on Wednesday. The conversion from diesel to gas, Mr. Koko?
The question is in twofold. One is in the necessary agreements for gas. We have reached a conclusion with PetroSA on the 10th of agreement. And we will take it through our necessary governance. But we've also decided that irrespective of what happens with the gas supply, we will take units out on outages to convert the gas turbine to be able to receive gas. And those outages start in December. So from December time, we've scheduled in the Tetris 2 units that we will start converting so that when gas eventually become available, because we don't have gas, but when the gas eventually available, from December, those gas turbines will receive gas. So we'll have a dual firing capability on those gas turbines. That does not talk to the conversion from the open cycle to the combined cycle. The conversion to the combined cycle requires the security of gas supply, which we do not currently have.
Thank you.
We'll now go online and take a chorus call if there are any questions there.
We have a few questions from the conference call. The first one is from Nicolette van Zyl from ESI Africa.
Good morning, everyone. I just have a very quick question around the exporting of power. How much are we exporting to our neighboring countries, and what is the status on that for the coming year?
All right, if you can have the second one.
The following question is from Carol Payton from Business Day.
Hi, thanks very much. Unfortunately, I don't have the presentation, and it's been quite hard to hear, especially Mr. Molefe. So I hope my question hasn't been dealt with already. But I've got a question around the energy availability factor. I couldn't quite hear what you were saying, except that I think Mr. Koko was saying that it has improved. But if one looks at the system adequacy reports from NERSA, it shows that continues to deteriorate. So could you just explain that, or perhaps there is a difference between the two reports? And then secondly, if you could please just give us an update on what exactly the state of play is with the connections to the for the IPPs. Who has been connected? Who's guaranteed at this point to be connected, and who still needs to be connected? And at what point, where is Eskom at in terms of saying, we can't provide any more connections until we have grid investment? Just please update on that. Thanks very much.
Is there anyone else online?
Yeah, no, currently.
That'll be it online. I'll just double up with I'm taking two more from the side, and I'll start on my left with yes.
Morning, Nicholas Barr from ENCA. You said you'll finish the year with a cash balance of 10 to 15 billion. How is this going to affect the percentage that you'll ask NERSA to increase in electricity prices next year? And does this mean that you'll be paying bonuses to top management this year? And will you be making that public?
And then the last one will be from the lady standing over there. I'll come back to you on the next round, Antoinette.
Yes, it's for French television, France 24. I'm broadening a bit the debate. I'd like to have your feeling about what's going to happen in France, COP21, climate change, all the goals for carbon emissions. South Africa is still very, very much coal-based, biggest polluter in the continent. And with that, you cannot really even supply all the electricity you need. I mean, is this debate, climate change, the very strict goal to go, are they luxury for South Africa? Are they a luxury for Africa? What is you feeling about what's going to happen?
All right, CE and the group, this will be it for this round. The next round will follow.
Mr. Deva, can you talk about the exporting of power and connections for IPPs?
Okay, thank you. In terms of exporting power, we belong to a trading pool that's called the South African Power Pool. So we trade basically with countries like Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, and a host of other countries. So we have interconnectors that basically transport power. So we basically supply power like 50, 100 megawatts on what we call a day-ahead market, or a market scheme that we supply power on. So we continue with that. That's normally how we've been functioning. When we do have problems in South Africa, and we actually go into load shedding, we actually cut that supply off. We have an agreement to say that if we go into load shedding, then we cut that supply off. We regard that as non-firm. So we will continue to trade on that basis. We are reimbursed, we are paid for whatever we supply. Going forward, what will also happen is we have a lot of excess during our off-peak periods, around 10 o'clock in the night till about 4 o'clock in the morning. Some of our neighboring countries who require additional power, we supply them power during that period. So that's how trading works. It's been working very well, but there will be a pickup on the trade. But at no time do we compromise the situation in the country due to the fact that we are exporting. In terms of IPPs, the question was very wide, so I'll answer it all encompassing. So in terms of the DOE's bid program, they had bid windows 1 to 3. Basically, that was around 3,800 megawatts that was procured, predominantly PV, wind, and CSP, concentrated solar power. So at the moment of that 3,800, what we have on the grid, which is commercial, is about 2,147 megawatts. That's made up of about 900 wind, 900 PV, and 100 megawatts from our own plant, which is Sire. So that's all commercial. The rest of plants under bid window 3 is still in the phases of construction, and they're busy with commercial operation. Under bid windows 3.5 and 4, that's one that was announced. We are busy now going through a process where we have to give budget quotes to basically connect them up to the grid. We have gone through a process with NERSA, and we're following an internal process where we'll be in a position where we will say that we will issue budget quotes. So once we issue the budget quotes, they will be the construction to join them to the grid. And after that, they will go to what we term legal and financial closure, and then they go commercial. That'll happen over the next 2 to 3 years. That's between those 3.5, between those 4, and between those 4.5. Basically, when the IPPs come onto the grid, it obviously impacts on our transmission, our network, our system, so we have to strengthen the system. So the backbone will be strengthened by us. We presented our transmission development plan. The chief executive did that in October last month. We will be spending about 213 billion rand over the next 10 years strengthening the grid.
And if you can talk about the EAF, Mr. Mkoko.
If you look at what is happening today, you're sitting at the plant breakdowns or load factors or load losses that it's 5,800 megawatts. And you're looking at planned outages of 5,400 megawatts. That gives you a total EAF of 74.4%. When you were last sitting here, the last time we were sitting at 73%.
Thank you. And Mr. Singh, can you talk about cash balances and bonuses?
Thank you, sir. The fact that we will be sitting on a cash balance of about 15 billion at the end of the year has no relation to the 22 billion that we've requested from NERSA. The 22 billion that we've requested from NERSA has already been spent. if you understand how the MYPD methodology works. So we're actually being reimbursed for costs that we've already incurred. We've actually already raised funding to be able to have spent that money. So the money that we're getting back from NERSA would effectively be used to repay some of the debt that we already incurred to actually keep the lights on in terms of the shortfall between the MYPD and the amounts that we've actually incurred. So the fact that we're sitting on 15 billion means that that 15 billion is actually earmarked for other initiatives that actually have to roll out in terms of the plan going forward. So it actually has no relation and bears no relation to the balance that we have on hand.
And to the extent that we have debt in our books, it means the 15 billion is borrowed anyway. So as long as you've got debt and you've got cash, it means it's borrowed, because that cash could be used to reduce your borrowings. Bonuses are in our annual report about who was paid which bonus. In fact, I don't understand the gripe by Agri-SA that we are refusing to disclose bonuses. It's in the annual report. Fact of the matter is that no bonuses were paid for executives in the last 2 years. The bonuses that were paid to executives were the vesting of their LTIs, which they earned 3 years before. So that is the long-term incentive scheme, the retainer scheme. So no bonuses were paid for the last financial year, and that information is in the annual report. COP21, I think that if I can first speak for Eskom, the legislation on FGDs has been passed to reduce our emissions. We have committed to putting in FGDs in our new build program to reduce the emissions by our coal-powered stations, and this come at enormous cost, and we have committed despite the fact that the legislation came in after we had started the build program. It is also a condition from the World Bank that we should put in the FGDs, and we will honor that commitment that we have made to the World Bank to reduce the emissions of our coal-powered stations, especially the new ones. And these FGDs come at enormous cost. What the legislation does not allow for is offsets. And so we would like to argue that to the extent that the FGDs are very expensive, they will actually add a significant amount of money to the capital program. We would like the authorities and the World Bank to consider offsets in certain instances rather than the capital expenditure of the FGDs. So if Eskom can show that it is somehow offsetting the impact of CO2 emissions, we should be allowed those credits to reduce the capital cost. It is a debate that we must still have. It is something that I think should be considered, especially in the African continent where electrification is still low in the entire continent, and where there is in the future going to be enormous capital expenditure and capital layout for the electrification of the continent. At COP21, I think the debates between the developing world and the developed world will continue. I think that really the problems of CO2 emissions are not in the developing world, they are in the developed world. I think that the people that are causing a lot of CO2 emissions are known to the world. In certain instances, they have not adhered to agreements that have been reached in the past, where in fact we in the developing world have been very diligent in ensuring that the agreements are adhered to. They have not been adhered to by certain very powerful nations, and I think the matter must be put on the table. And so that is generally how I feel the discussions will go at the COP21 conference in France. Having said that, and since we're talking about France, I think it is appropriate for us as ESCOM and perhaps as South Africa to express our deep-felt condolences to the people of France for what happened over in the last couple of days. We think it was unnecessary, and we hope that the differences that exist in the world can be negotiated before people can resort to such extreme measures to make their points known. Thank you.
Talking about France, it's also important to note that ESCOM will also be there, who will be part of the discussions that are taking place there. So we're going to take the last round of calls, questions, and I see Antoinette, I see Peroshni, and it looks like it's going to, and Terence as the last one. So we'll start with Antoinette.
Antoinette Slabbert from MoneyWeb. Mr. Koko, if you can just clarify, you say we are now at 73% EAF. I may be mistaken, but I think in the RCA application you're saying it hasn't improved and it's still at 72%. If you can just clarify how we have to understand these figures. And then about the RCA application, there's such a long time lapse between spending the money and recovering if it is approved. Do you foresee that you will be getting to grips with the process and get into a regular pattern of submitting these applications as soon as possible after the audited figures have become available?
It's Peroshni Govender, and I'm from Reuters. Can you give us some details of, you mentioned the bond that you spoke about in London. How much are we looking at, and what timeframes?
Terence?
Just to get back to the issue of your energy availability factor, you're giving the indication that it hasn't really changed fundamentally. You're also giving the indication that the OCGT usage is down. You're also giving the indication that maintenance has been sustained and is even higher. Therefore, how are we keeping the lights on at this stage? Either your reserve margin that you're operating in must have shrunk or something, or demand must be far lower. Can you just take us into your confidence and give us some understanding of how we're maintaining, keeping OCGT lower and keeping the, well, not really a big change in the AIF, and yet something seems to have changed in the last 90 days.
All right, thank you. That will be it for now.
Can I just start with the bond in London? We did not issue a bond in London. We're not issuing a bond in London. All I said was we had a non-deal roadshow, which means we went to see investors to have a cup of tea and to talk about what we're doing and how they feel about the company. We were not issuing a bond. However, in those discussions over the cup of tea, they indicated and asked, when are we coming back to the market? And it gave us an indication that they would be receptive to an international bond issue, which we will consider. But there's no deal on the table as I'm speaking to you. The RCA application of 72 and EAF, so the RCA EAF indication of 72 against what we have just said now, Mr. Koko.
Yes. Today is the 16th November. If you, and the issue is, where are we moving the needle? Are we making progress with our energy availability factor? And the answer is yes. And here's the numbers. I'm going to repeat them again. The load losses today is 5,800. The planned load factors today is 5,000. That gives you an availability of 25.6. That gives you the energy availability factor of 74.4. When we invited you here previously, you were sitting at 73. So we are making progress on our energy availability factor.
Mr. Koko, when he says today, he literally means the 16th of November. So today, as we're sitting here, that's where the energy availability factor is, and it may have been a different number at the time of compiling the RCA application. Mr. Singh, will we get more regular with RCA application and more predictable?
Thank you, Brian. I think certainly on the timing, yes. The RCA process would, in its normal course, take probably 18 months, 18 to 24 months from the time you incur the cost to be in a position to actually get the cost liquidated, given the requirement for audited results, given the timing around the MFMA in terms of that, and given NERSA's timing around consultation, as well as the time that they need to take to adjudicate on the claim itself. So from that perspective, yes, it's a time frame of 18 to 24 months, and it does have an impact and obviously places a bit of strain on the balance sheet given the fact that it is such a period of time. But going forward, I think on the predictability, yes, Mr. Chair, Brian, we are certainly trying to work with NERSA to be in a position to get more predictability in terms of the RCA process, and that will make it a more mechanical rather than judgmental, and hopefully we'll be able to close the gap with NERSA.
Mr. Koko, there's a question: how are we keeping the lights on?
You will recall that we said we want to do 80-10-10. 80-10-10 means that our planned availability factor will be 10%. In the past, the current plant capability loss factor sits just over 11%. Now, we have set and decided on a maintenance budget. And that maintenance budget is 4,500 megawatt. It is the size of Medupi units, 6 units of Medupi continuously being on maintenance every single day of the year. And we believe that if we have the size of Medupi continuously out on maintenance every single day of the year, we will slowly claw back on our maintenance backlog. If you balance that with the demand, it reduces significantly the diesel consumption that we use to balance the scales. So the only thing that has changed between now and in the past is that we're not taking too many units on maintenance that results in unsafe energy that we then use a lot of diesel to compensate on. So if going forward we determined to keep our available capacity for dispatch at 32.5 gigawatts and average the planned maintenance at 4,500 megawatts. And when we do that, and in the event that we succeed in doing that, we will significantly reduce the diesel consumption that we use for the open cycle gas turbines.
In short, I mean, there's a line, a certain point, a sweet spot between not doing maintenance at all and doing maintenance at all costs. So we have to find a point which allows us to do sufficient maintenance without load shedding. And that is what we continuously fine-tune to and optimize to. So a point where we're doing sufficient maintenance to do current and a little bit of backlog maintenance, as well as not load shedding. And so we will catch up with the backlog slower than we would if we were doing maintenance at all costs. And but we will catch up with the backlog anyway. And the amount of backlog that we are able to deal with increases as the energy availability factor increases because of the availability of the units that have undergone maintenance. Which is why I actually think that the profile for next year winter could be much better than what it looks like now if the units that are out on maintenance now become more reliable and we reduce UCLF as a result. So that picture that you saw for winter next year maintenance, which is a little bit lower, could actually improve if the units become more reliable and we have lower UCLF, allowing us to do more PCLF. Thank you very much.
I'm told there's one pressing call on the chorus call, so we'll take that one. And if there's any one more, maybe, okay, we'll take Chris, and then that will be it for the day. So let's go to the chorus call.
Thank you. Our question is from Ana Montero from Bloomberg News.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. Just a quick one relating to the scheduled dates on the build program. Just comparing the slide that you put up today with what you disclosed in June, and it looks like there may be a delay on deliverables for Kusile and Ingula, unless I'm looking at this incorrectly. Could you please explain the discrepancy between the two?
All right, Chris?
Chris Yelland from EE Publishers. My question is directed to Mr. Coco. I'm getting back to this EAF issue. Energy availability factor is measured over a period of time, typically 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. I'm just questioning, how one can talk about an energy availability factor at a particular instant. The instantaneous EAF varies as machine by machine goes down or comes back on again. And I published yesterday evening the EAF figures week by week, which show that the EAF is declining. These are confirmed by NERSA. So I'm just wondering why or how one can point to an EAF on a particular day, because it means very, very little. Your comments would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Yelland, you must concede that it is possible to calculate energy availability at this instant as I'm talking to you. And that is what he was talking about, at this instant. And what he said was, we have a trend that is improving over a period of time. What you're talking about is averages over a week, over a month, and in a year. Those are averages. But the primary calculation for energy availability factor is in fact instantaneous, because if you think about it, as I'm talking to you now, there is a certain amount of units that are out on maintenance, and there is a certain amount of electricity that is being sent out, and that is availability now. And so when he was talking about energy availability factor today is as we are sitting here. And what he then said was, this energy availability factor is improving. It is on a positive trend, which means that if you calculate the monthly or 3-month or 1-year average, it will probably be lower than the 74%. But what he was saying is, it is on an upward trajectory. At the moment, we're sitting at a number that is higher than the average. Incidentally, Mr. Yelland, I don't think that we have a demand crisis, and I think that the article that you published over the weekend is way off the mark. What was the first question? Sorry? Oh, the timelines. Can you talk about that?
The timelines you've seen is what we call P80 schedule. The Ingula will come way ahead of the timelines you see. There is no delay at Ingula. There will be no delay on Kusile Unit 1. There will be no delay at Medupi Unit 5. In fact, we are determined and resolved much more than ever before that we will meet and exceed on the timelines that you've seen that we've presented today.
The timelines that we presented today are P80 timelines, which means the timelines that have an 80% probability of success. So these are P80 timelines. If you calculate timelines based on a different probability factor, they will either become earlier or later, depending on the risks and how you see them.
I just want to add on to the comment that you made in the first statement about ESCOM and the crises that we go through. I'm surprised the media have not picked up on this. There was an article in the Daily Telegraph on the 4th of November about the UK National Grid. Let's see if the story sounds familiar to you. On the 4th of, I think it was the 4th of November, National Grid actually paid their customers to stay off the grid between 5 and 6 p.m. because they could not meet demand. And the reason being is that on that day they suffered significant losses to their coal-fired fleet, their old aging coal-fired fleet, which had numerous breakdowns. And on that day of 13,000 megawatts of wind generation, they only had 400 megawatts. So they applied a lever, which they call, where they pay customers to stay off the grid. I think where ESCOM is now, I think the UK is entering the first stage where we are. We've got numerous amount of levers which we use on a daily basis to help keep the lights on. So there's a story evolving there. I think there's a lot that UK can actually learn, a first world country learning from a developed country like South Africa.
Well, let's take this opportunity to thank you, Chairperson Dr. Ngubane, and the board members who are here, the CE and his executive team. We've now come to the official end of the program. We do have some people who have asked for one-on-ones with the CE and the team, so you can stay behind. For everyone else, that's it for the day. Thank you.
Hello? You stand over there.
No, we're good here, we're good here. We are good here. Guys blocking the shot.
Appalling scenes here at Parliament. We know of at least one student who was pushed to the ground, either in the stampede of students towards the entry to the National Assembly, or by riot police. So it has to be said, from our vantage point, we're getting very heavy-handed. And who can blame them? They've been completely overwhelmed here What sparked it all, about 20 minutes ago, the student protests outside in Plain Street got sight of a small group of protesters who somehow had managed to get past security and effectively stormed the parliamentary precinct. From where we could see through the railings, a group of about 25 or so. That really encouraged the rest of the students to march on the main gate by the visitors' entrance to Parliament. To our surprise, as we came round, we saw the gates completely wide open, and that just caused this stream, hundreds upon hundreds of students, to storm the parliamentary precinct. Police caught napping completely. Protesters very quickly made their way to the steps of the National Assembly, and it was then that those 6 stun grenades were deployed. All sorts of expletives from the students as they were pushed back towards the gates. The situation we have at the moment, we'll ask our cameraman just to pan to my right over towards Parliament. As you can see, parliamentary officials just scratching their heads. And in the extreme left of your shot, I'm going to ask the cameraman just to go back there. Take the camera back there. In the extreme left of your shot, you can see on the foot of the stairs one student holding her head. That's the student that we know was injured. From our vantage point over here, she is in shock. She was almost crushed in that stampede. Across over to my left, we have this core group of students who are now negotiating with police. Obviously, the police want this precinct cleared. In all my years of being at Parliament, I mean, never before has a medium-term budget statement attracted quite so much demonstration. But I've never ever seen the parliamentary precinct awash with protesters. Certainly victory to these students today, whose express intention was to disrupt the budget speech. They certainly have achieved that here. Stun grenades being fired on a group of people that really are looking for a better deal. The wind is picking up, I'm going to step out of shot so that you can really see what's going on here. We want Blade is the chant now from these students. What you probably can't see is just beyond the gates, hundreds more, probably 1,000 or so students beyond the gates of Parliament in Plain Street. But these students now sitting down are refusing to leave until they've been addressed by the Minister of Higher Education, Blade Nzimande. But if you're just joining us here on ENCA, just gone 3 o'clock this Wednesday afternoon. Sorry, Michelle, you go. I mean, it's astounding. Yeah, as I said, in all my years of being here to cover speeches of this nature, I have never seen anything like this. Really, a tale of two cities going on at Parliament. That one comment from the one MP a little bit earlier, suggesting that one of the ANC MPs was carrying on like Marie Antoinette. You do get a sense of that out here, with these students demanding to speak to Blade Nzimande. A very small group, it has to be said, of riot police now keeping this crowd at bay, but student leaders, to give them their credit, very quick to settle this crowd down. Those stun grenades did precisely what they're intended to do, stunned this crowd. They were an absolute shock to hear go off. And very quickly the tide turned, with people trying to get away from the riot police, obviously wondering and fearful of what might be coming next. No sign of tear gas, at least. But the stun grenades were successful in driving everyone back. And organisers now have got the core group of students to sit down while they try and negotiate with Lord knows who to bring an end to this impasse. Leaders of the Roads Must Fall and the Fees Must Fall campaign at the University of Cape Town now moving forward. And a defiant stand here from these students, refusing to go.
for coming.
And as 11 doesn't want to press the things. No.
Additions to health expenditure will further strengthen scale up. Health budgets are set to grow by 8.3% from 2015-16. New resources will also be allocated to Minister Msaledi, the guidance, national health insurance,
coming up,
drawing on the lessons of the district. Space education, vision of the
Who's our other camera crew here? Who else do we have inside here?
Development Bank. These have been financed through the sale of government.
We are outside the National Assembly at the moment. Well, there are at least 3 public entrances to the parliamentary precinct. The majority of where visitors enter would be through the Plain Street entrance. But it appears that these students have come through the entrance just off Spin Street into Parliamentary Lane, and they've broken through the barricade there through Parliament and now made their way to the steps of the National Assembly. As you can see, public order police are trying to keep students at bay. They've done riot here, and they are now trying to push them away from the door of the National Assembly. We do understand that VIP protection services are inside the building. They've barricaded that. There are plenty of government ministers, including senior government representatives and including MPs inside. So again, extraordinary pictures playing outside here in the National Assembly. If I can ask Nina cameraman to point there down towards Plain Street, it appears that the floodgates have opened where another gate of Parliament has now been broken through, and students are now making their way en masse to the steps of the National Assembly. Michelle, we're seeing a move here by riot police, by public order police trying to push students off. Where we have water bottles being thrown at police. We are following our cameras quite carefully here. We're following police quite carefully here as public order police trying to push students back there. Some of them are now sitting down. They say that they are sitting down. They are not resisting, and that they say that they are peacefully sitting down. It's going to make police's efforts to create some order here and get them out of the parliamentary precinct a little more difficult. As you can see, these students or protesters are pretty energized here. It is, one would say, an historic moment here with the gates of Parliament and the barricades and the security of Parliament having fallen in such a way in such a quick time. Just about a half an hour ago, many of these students were outside. We have a situation here with bottles and stun grenades have now just gone off. There are missiles being more stun grenades going off. Many of the students now running out to the entrances. Arrests taking place as police try to take control of the situation. Quite chaotic scenes here outside the National Assembly. Michelle, one of students arrested, they're now tussling with police. There's some sort of arrest being taken place. More flashbangs are being heard elsewhere on the parliamentary precinct.
2008 recession and its aftermath. The bill to give effect to the Twin Peaks regulatory system has now been certified by the state law advisors, and I will be tabling it next week on the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. We've engaged with the industry and other stakeholders on the draft framework for market conduct to ensure that customers of the financial sector fairly charges are and made more transparent. I also propose to table the insurance bill before the end of the year. We have made progress in promoting savings by households through the introduction this year of the tax-free savings products. In collaboration with Minister Dlamini and Minister Oliphant, work on the social security reform proposals is at an advanced stage to accompany retirement reform. I need to emphasize the importance of providing suitable vehicles for preservation of savings and conversion into income at retirement alongside appropriate death and disability benefits. We are engaging with Labour to ensure that members of provident funds enjoy the full benefits of tax deductions for saving plans that provide an ensured income at retirement. I hope that these proposals will be prioritized for discussion in NEDLAC over the period ahead. In addition to promoting domestic savings, South Africa needs to attract substantial flows of foreign funding to ensure that investment growth can be financed. It is clearly vital that we maintain a framework of policies and programs consistent with this requirement. Under your leadership, Mr. President, and guided by our newly appointed National Planning Commission under the chairmanship of Minister Khadebe, we seek to simplify and streamline regulatory procedures to investment and ensure both policy coherence and encouragement of long-term investment and international partnerships. The Treasury's work on modernizing the management of capital flows and encouraging companies to locate in South Africa as a gateway to the rest of Africa supports this aim. Without economic growth, revenue will not increase. Without revenue growth, expenditure cannot increase. Honorable Chairperson, it is apparent that slower growth and volatility will remain features of the world economy for some time to come. In the framework set out in the 2015 medium-term budget policy statement, government has adapted to this turbulent environment through measures to maintain the health of the public finances and support the social and economic transformation that South Africa needs. To strengthen economic performance, our commitment is to bring policy coherence and certainty where it is lacking, and to give greater impetus to infrastructure investment and to address impediments that hold back enterprise development, employment, and innovation. To build the energy capacity, water and transport networks, and communication systems we need, we are mobilizing capacity of state-owned companies and the private sector alongside departmental and municipal initiatives. To ensure that public debt remains affordable, the public expenditure ceiling is maintained while protecting our flagship social and economic programs. To improve living standards and accelerate social development, we are working with municipalities to strengthen planning and concentrate investment in urban hubs and economic growth zones. More dynamic cities, new businesses, trade opportunities, and better transport systems also mean stronger linkages with the smaller towns and growing market opportunities for agriculture and rural enterprises. To enhance state capacity and the quality of integrity of governance, our financial management and procurement reforms will be reinforced while stepping up public sector training and institutional renewal. To unite South Africans behind more rapid implementation of the National Development Plan, we are working with the business sector, organized labor, social stakeholders to maintain a stable labor relations environment, improve confidence, and promote broad-based development. In concluding, I wish to thank you, Mr. President, and the Deputy President for your guidance and leadership, and all Cabinet colleagues for their understanding of the challenges that we confront. The Ministers' Committee on the Budget has energetically engaged with the issues. Deputy Minister Jonas has always been cheerful, even in the toughest discussions, and the MECs for Finance share diligently in the work of overseeing our public finances. A special thanks also to the Auditor General, Mr. Kimi Makwetu, SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane, Governor Lesitsha Kganyago at the Reserve Bank, the boards and executive heads of our development finance institution, and the Financial and Fiscal Commission and the Financial Services Board. I greatly value the support of NEDLAC and its constituency representative, and the chairs of the Standing and Select Committees of Finance and Appropriations, Honorable Yunus Karim, Honorable Charles de Beer, Honorable Paul Mashatile, and Honorable Saiso Mohai. I'm also indebted to the Director General Lungisa Fuzile and the staff of the National Treasury and the Ministry for their tireless efforts. The support of my family is also an incalculable blessing. Mr. President, we're pursuing a new growth path to expand participation and adapt to the changing realities of the global landscape. And in the past, though times are tough, we can create a better future working together. Within an affordable medium-term expenditure framework, we will build a more prosperous and equal South Africa, sustaining progress even in the slow growth world and environment. As we achieve more rapid growth, our revenue outlook will improve. As revenue increases, our expenditure on public service delivery will grow. I hereby, again, as I said,
Thank you.
Thank you. That might be emergency coming out there as well.
I was ducking, and that's what do you call this thing? Doesn't duck. It's running towards.
Thank you very much, Minister. The medium-term budget policy statement will be referred to the Standing Committee on Finance and the Standing Committee on Appropriations to consider in accordance with their respective mandates. The revised fiscal framework will be referred to the Standing Committee on Finance for consideration.
They continued, Andrew. Is it finished or is it going on? It's going on. They want me to get Nate. I don't think they will. To give comments. Yeah. Can I get you some water? Huh?
I can't see the finance minister.
Can we tell them to get some water? Me too. Even with the education minister. Yeah.
Honorable members,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Can I just make an announcement?
But how does the minister just go on like business as usual?
Thank you for your consideration. Honorable members, we request that when you leave the chamber, you make use of the side entrances. We are also requesting you to please proceed to your offices as there are still people around the precinct. Honorable members, order, honorable members who are trying to gain access to the precinct. So we're asking members to be in their offices until they are advised that they can leave safely. Order, honorable members. Honorable Maimane.
Thanks, Chairperson. I think noting the reality of what's taking place outside, which is the point that you've made, can I request, in fact, that the Minister of Higher Education and the President to please go address the students, because this requires leadership. And if we fail to do that, there'll be an even bigger crisis on our hands. Can I request that that be so? Please, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Maimane. Can you take your seat? Thank you. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, thank you very much. I've noted your request, Honorable Maimane, but I'm sure it would be made appropriately to the relevant people you are advising that they undertake a particular action. Honorable members, I would like to thank you for your consideration given the incident that happened earlier in the House, and I would most likely to thank the members of the public who are in the gallery, and in particular some of our young guests, the students who were here for all the time for their discipline and patience. This concludes the debate and the end of the House. The House is adjourned.
I'm hiding behind the police at Parliament. Hello, are you there? Okay, that's a replay. Yeah, there was no tear gas. It was stunned grenade. It was not tear gas, it was stunned grenade.
Bijan, tunakuhama.
Hi, Serena. Don't forget the BBC on TV. I'm coming just now. I'm in town. I'm coming just now, okay? Okay.
Oh, it's finished. Oh, so you can't. So how, when are you leaving? Well, let's have a look. We'll do it in Joburg. Where are you staying?
Waterfront, Southern Sun.
Oh, the Southern Sun. Okay. Okay. We're at the Pepper Shop. Yeah. And your boyfriend gets here tomorrow?
We are outside the National Assembly at the moment. We are outside the National Assembly. We are outside the National Assembly at the moment. Well, there are at least 3 public entrances to the parliamentary precinct. The majority of where visitors enter would be through the Plain Street entrance, but it appears that these students have come through the entrance just off Spin Street into Parliamentary Lane, and they've broken through the barricade there through Parliament and now made their way to the steps of the National Assembly. As you can see, public order police are trying to keep students at bay here. They've done riot here and they are now trying to push them away from the door of the National Assembly. We do understand that VIP protection services are inside the building. They've barricaded that. There are plenty of government ministers here, including senior government representatives and including MPs inside. So again, extraordinary pictures playing outside here in the National Assembly. If I can ask Nina cameraman to point there down towards Plain Street, it appears that the floodgates have opened where another gate of Parliament has now been broken through, and students are now making their way en masse to the steps of the National Assembly. Michelle, we're seeing a move here by But Michelle, we're seeing a move here by riot police, by public order police, trying to push students off. Where we have water bottles being thrown at police. We are following our cameras quite carefully here. We're following police quite carefully here as public order police trying to push students back there. Some of them are now sitting down. They say that they are sitting down. They are not resisting, and that they say that they are peacefully sitting down. It's going to make police's efforts to create some order here and get them out of the parliamentary precinct a little more difficult. As you can see, these students or protesters are pretty energized here. It is, one would say, an historic moment here with the gates of Parliament and the barricades and the security of Parliament having fallen in such a way in such a quick time. Just about a half an hour ago, many of these students were outside. We have a situation here with bottles and stun grenades have now just gone off. There are missiles being thrown, more stun grenades going off. Many of the students now running out to the entrances. Arrests taking place as police try to get control of the situation. Quite chaotic scenes here outside the National Assembly.
You can't do this! You can't fucking do this! What have you done?
Michelle, one of students arrested, they're now tussling with police. There's some sort of arrest being taken place. More flashbangs are being heard elsewhere on the parliamentary precinct. Here outside the National Assembly at the moment. Well, there are at least 3 public entrances to the parliamentary precinct. The majority of where visitors enter would be through the Plain Street entrance, but it appears that these students have come through the entrance just off Spin Street into Parliamentary Lane, and they've broken through the barricade there through Parliament and now made their way to the steps of the National Assembly. As you can see, public order police.
No, I'll give it to one of them and they can just bring it closer. Okay, sure. But remember, if you are jumping in front of me, you're going to mess up my shot. You have to jump on this side. Jump on this side. And take the mic closer. Salute, bruh.
from the students here who have now made their way into the parliamentary precinct. As you can see, they are refusing to move. They are sitting down. They say they are not resisting, and they say that they will stay until their grievances are addressed. Just recapping what just happened a few moments ago, some historic images playing out here on your screens with students coming through the barricades of Parliament and breaching parliamentary security, making their way out to the parliamentary steps, but then police then taking act. Why have you decided to come onto the premises here today? What do you think that the students' demands have been adequately addressed by earlier press conferences during the week?
I don't think they've been adequately addressed. 6% isn't sufficient. I'm on a bursary and I struggle every month. I have to absorb my bursary still, and I have to absorb all of that. That's unfair. There's people here every year. I meet some students who cannot afford to pay fees, who come to us crying, saying we can't afford to pay fees. What must we do? What must they do? And there's an increase every single year. We pay at UCT. We pay some of the highest fees in the country. We understand it's the best university, but government must do something to help us deal with this.
Breaching the security of Parliament, it being a very high security zone here, have you taken into consideration the dangers to your safety here?
Well, we understand. We hope that they won't hurt us because we're their children. We're fighting. We have no weapons, so we're not doing anything dangerous. We just want to make our points good, and this is the best way we can. We've been protesting for days. We started, I think, last week Thursday. We've been protesting. Our point still hasn't been heard properly, and we hope that this will make it properly.
That's some of the voices there from the students here. So these are indeed extraordinary pictures that are playing themselves out here outside the National Assembly at the moment. Well, there are at least 3 public entrances to the parliamentary precinct. The majority of where visitors enter would be through the Plain Street entrance, but it appears that these students have come through the entrance just off Spin Street into Parliamentary Lane, and they've broken through the barricade there through Parliament and now made their way to the steps of the National Assembly. As you can see, public order police are trying to keep students at bay here. They've gone riot here and they are now trying to push him away from the door of the National Assembly. We do understand that VIP protection services are inside the building. They've barricaded that. There are plenty of government ministers here, including senior government representatives and including MPs inside. So again, extraordinary pictures playing outside here in the National Assembly. If I can ask Nina cameraman to point there down towards Plain Street, it appears that the floodgates have opened where another gate of Parliament has now been broken through, and students are now making their way en masse to the steps of the National Assembly. Michelle, we're seeing a move here by riot police, by public order police trying to push students off. Where we have water bottles being thrown at police. We are following our cameras quite carefully here. We're following police quite carefully here as public order police trying to push students back there. Some of them are now sitting down. They say that they are sitting down. They are not resisting, and that they say that they are peacefully sitting down. It's going to make police's efforts to create some order here and get them out of the parliamentary precinct a little more difficult. As you can see, these students are protesters are pretty energized here. It is, one would say, an historic moment here with the gates of Parliament and the barricades and the security of Parliament having fallen in such a way in such a quick time. Just about a half an hour ago, many of these students were outside. We have a situation here with bottles and stun grenades have now just gone off. There are missiles being thrown, more stun grenades going off. Many of the students now running out to the entrances. Arrests taking place as police try to gain control of the situation. Quite chaotic scenes here outside the National Assembly. You can't do this! You can't fucking do this! What have you done? Michelle, one of students arrested, they're now tussling with police. There's some sort of arrest being taken place. More flashbangs are being heard elsewhere on the parliamentary precinct. I'm sure it is, while MPs are still inside. Outside the National Assembly at the moment. Well, there are at least 3 public entrances to the parliamentary precinct. The majority of where visitors enter would be through the Plain Street entrance. But it appears that these students have come through the entrance just off Spur Street into Parliamentary Lane, and they've broken through the barricade there through Parliament and now made their way to the steps of the National Assembly. As you can see, public order police are trying to keep students at bay here. They've gone riot again. They are now trying to push him away from the door of the National Assembly. We do understand that VIP protection services are inside the building. They've barricaded that. There are plenty of government ministers, including senior government representatives and including MPs inside. So again, extraordinary pictures playing outside here in the National Assembly. If I can ask Nina Cameron to point there down towards Plain Street, it appears that the floodgates have opened where another gate of Parliament has now been broken through, and students are now making their way en masse to the steps of the National Assembly.
Damn. I don't know, right? No, for sure. Let's go. I'm gonna take you. Oh man. Where's your back? Bro. Take yours. Oh man.
our